how important sales is to your success? If you're trying to persuade somebody to your perspective, your understanding where we want to go, when do you stop telling your story? Listen, do you have a girlfriend? What if you were trying to persuade her to be your girlfriend? There's a point when you're asking her to be your girlfriend where you need to stop talking. I've heard there was a story about a lady that was dating this guy, and he said he wanted to get married. She said in 15 minutes he had me talked into it and out of it 4 times. Because when she said yeah, he kept talking, and the more he talked, she said, no, I don't think it's a good idea. So he talked again, and finally she said, yeah, I think I will. My point in all that, when you get done, when you want to get your point across, once your audience has accepted your point of view, stop selling. Stop selling. So what I try to do when I get my I get my ideas across, when I got you convinced and you say, yeah, I support that, thank you, and I turn around and walk away. Stop selling. So sales is important in everything you do. What do I do? What does Tim Lee do? Is Connie, what am I? What did you say I was? Chairman of Cobb County? Thank you. My only legal responsibility is once a year to present a budget to the commissioners for their approval. That is my only legal responsibility. So once a year, I have to do that. Whether I can't not do it. Now, nobody's told me whether they'll take me to jail or not if I don't do it, but that's my one legal responsibility. So I work with staff, I work with Mr. Hankerson, the other commissioners, to come up with a budget once a year. Now the interesting thing about Cobb County is, and I'm going to hand these out to you a little bit, is we're a very efficient, effective county. How many have heard of a deficit associated with the United States, the national United States? We're running, I have heard it the other day in the news, we're spending more and more making, right? We're not allowed to do that in Cobb County by law. I cannot spend more than we make. Now what if I told you that I have to adopt the budget in September? I have to adopt it in September for the fiscal year that starts October 1st. But I don't know how much revenue I'm going to have until June. Till June. And the reason that is in Cobb County, we collect taxes in arrear. So when you get a tax bill the 4th of the quarter of any calendar year, you're getting charged the taxes for the money that was already spent the 12 months prior to that. So when I approve a budget, and then I operate a government for 4 years, and by the way, my budget's about $800 million. When I spend $800 million, it's on a hope and a prayer that we're gonna have the revenues come due. And that hope and the prayer is that my digest, the value of homes and businesses, and all the fees we charge, and all the expenses we've made, balance. Now what happens if I get to the end of the year and I've spent $100 million, or I spent $100,000 more than I came in? Well, I told you, I'm not allowed to do that. So we have to monitor that budget. So not only do I have to be very extraordinarily careful in putting a budget together that I think I can live in, I have to have very smart people helping with my projections is where do we think our revenue number is going to be. Once I have a good feel where my revenue number is going to be, I discount it to 95%. Then I say plan to that number. And we plan to that number. And there's a lot of variables that go into it that are out of my control. You know, you've learned this in your life, that if you want to move something from point A to point B, you focus on the things that you can control and monitor the things you cannot. And then you adjust what you can control based on what's happening in those things that you cannot. And I do it the same way. Every month I sit and I evaluate where I'm going on the things I can control based on the impact of the things that I do not control. That being the economy. That being what happens in Washington, D.C. That means the 40 most dangerous days in Georgia in any given year. Does anybody know what the 40 most dangerous days of Georgia is? It's when the legislators are in session underneath the Gold Dome. How many of you heard of unfunded mandates? That's when a legislator passes a law, the state or federal law, that says you as a county government must do this, but they don't provide the funding for it. It's like going to your, well, you don't have your kids yet, you don't have a girlfriend, you certainly don't have your kids yet. But when you have a girlfriend, you get a wife, and you have children, it's like telling them you want them to go grocery shopping, but not giving them any money. The kid's got to figure out some way to get it done, right? So the point in all that is I have to watch all these influences on the budget that I have no control over while monitoring those things that I do. So that's my primary responsibility, is to provide the services that Cobb County residents have come to expect at the level of quality that they've come to expect for the entire year, and make sure it comes on the budget. Now what do we do? What does the local government do? I'm going to tell you, I believe, how many of you guys knew who I was before I came in here? How many of you guys voted in the last election 2 years ago? Okay, a couple of you, 3 of you. On a local level, where when you graduate and you go to move and you get involved in the community, the first thing you need to do is forget about the president, forget about the senators, forget about your congressman. You can even forget about the governor, the lieutenant governor, the speaker of the house, or your representative. Find out who your local representatives are. Who are the people managing your day-to-day activities? Because I got to tell you something, I affect your life more on a day-to-day basis than anyone in the federal state level. For instance, when you got up this morning and brushed your teeth, I made sure you had clean water come out of that spigot. When it went down the drain, I made sure it was clean and put back in the river, cleaner than when we got it out, and at a temperature that won't affect the fish life. When you got in your car and you drove along the street, I made sure that it was smooth and free of potholes. I miss a few every now and then. I'm also the guy to make sure that there's a sign in every corner that says hesitate. It's spelled S-T-O-P. You guys really don't stop at a stop sign, do you? So it must spell hesitate, right? There has to be. I'm also the guy that in the event that you wake up in the morning, you smell smoke, and you call 911, that there's somebody else on the other side of the phone that can answer it and deal with it appropriately. And if you happen to need a fire department, I'm the guy to make sure that they get there on time. Or if you walk outside and you find out your neighbor's had a heart attack while walking their dog and you need medical attention, I'm the guy to make sure that there's people there. Or for instance, you're walking across the street and there's a bad accident and you need a police department, I'll make sure that they're there. Now while he's trying to pursue his girlfriend, and he does something illegal and the police arrest him and take him to the jail, I'm the one to make sure that he's comfortable at the jail. As comfortable he can be in a 4x2 room. But I also am very, very sensitive to the fact that he has rights as a citizen, so I make sure the court systems are there, the judges, the prosecutors, the court reporters, the bailiffs, everyone associated with that, to make sure they're there to get, you get a free, fair treatment while you pursue your life as a criminal. So then you go to the library, KSU, and you find out it's full, and you want to go to one of the county libraries. I make sure the library's there. And then when your grandmother comes to visit and wants to go to play cards with her friends or girlfriends, I'm the one to make sure the senior center's there. And then when your friends' kids want to have aquatics and go swimming in the aquatic center, I make sure they're there. Or your neighbors want to go play baseball at the parks, I'm there. Or you want to play frisbee, I'm there. I'm the one providing the parks. I do all that. So basically, I touch your life more points and more touch points in a given day than any one of those state people or those federal people. And nobody knows who I am. I determine whether or not we get our grass cut, whether we get our streets cleaned, whether or not we have enough police force, whether our fire department has enough training and trucks, whether the library stays open, has enough resources. I determine all that. And nobody knows who I am. It's kind of strange, isn't it? Wouldn't it seem natural that if there was somebody that had that much influence in your life, you would find out who it is? Now, I'm also held accountable by a lot of folks. Now, I understand that David Connell was here last week, 2 weeks ago, recently. Did he tell you about what makes Cobb so great? Did he tell you that? He talked to you about the best overall educational system, the best healthcare system. You guys are going to want to live in Cobb when I get done with you. All kinds of travel, arts, entertainment, quality of life. What makes quality of life?